You about the aloneness of mental illness, how alone some people can feel, so that when if you're not going through it yourself and you meet somebody, could be somebody in a store, somebody at work, somebody on the street, somebody at a party, try to remember that they might be going through something very, very difficult. And I want to try to convey to you what that might be like. So for me, I've got schizophrenia. I'm doing well now, but in my worst times, in the early part of my recovery, I felt so alone. It felt like, in some ways, it didn't feel like I even existed. And it felt like no one else existed on the planet. It felt like I was like Matt Damon in the movie The Martian, and there was nobody else on the planet. Like the spaceship had gone back to Earth, left me all alone on Mars. And in some ways, not even I was there. In a lot of ways, I was there. And yes, I could see people. In my worst year in 1994, when the disease was at its worst, I felt like I didn't make eye contact with people for, I think, about a year. I couldn't do it. I tried. I would try to look up their body to try to, and I couldn't do it. And it was very difficult sometimes. And yeah, and it felt like wherever I went, there was nobody there. Another thing was simple substance, uh, ground, trees, buildings, cars, houses, couches, sofas. It didn't feel like there was any matter in the world. It didn't feel like anything was there. The movie A Beautiful Mind with John Nash, the mathematician who had schizophrenia, the Nobel Prize winner, Russell Crowe played him. The synopsis for that movie, it says John Nash lived a ghost-like existence. And I felt that way too. It felt that I didn't even really exist in some ways, and that no matter existed. It was I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Slowly, week by week, every week I noticed an improvement. And over years and years, that slowly went away, glacially slowly, but it went away. And I'm just sitting here now where I live, looking out the window, and I'm really getting a sense of that there are people around me. A year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was getting more and more a sense, my whole recovery, my whole 27, 28 years of recovery, I felt like I was getting more and more connected with people, feeling like people were there around me. And it's really feeling like I'm just, the last few days, the last couple of weeks, the last month or two, last few months, I'm really starting to come out of this last year of processing I've been going through. Uh, yeah, my symptoms stopped with my disease on February 11th, 2021. And the last year, I've just been having time to think about what I've been through. And lately, I'm really starting to come out of my thinking phase and really starting to enjoy life and being more playful, being in a good frame of mind all day long and not having to think about stuff as much. And I'm really starting to feel that people are just really there around me, and even though I can't see them. That was the thing. In my, say, in a place I was living in 10, 20 years ago, I would be in my bedroom, but I couldn't imagine that the kitchen was on the other side of the wall. Or if I was in the kitchen, I couldn't imagine the living room was on the other side of the wall. If I was outside the house, I didn't feel like the inside of the house was there. If I was at work, I couldn't feel like the outside, the outdoors was on the other side of the wall, the outdoor wall. It didn't feel like anything was really there. I felt like, it's like if you're thinking about the end of the universe, where does the end of the universe stop? Is there a brick wall at the end of it saying you've reached the end? It's hard for us to think about that. And that's the way I felt from my eyesight, like things I could see, like where I'm sitting here now, there's a wall in front of me. On the other room, there's the living room. I feel that it's there. I can just sense space going out from around me and things in space, walls, cars, trees, buildings, people, everything. I just sense that there's everything there, even though I can't see it. I can't see my living room right now, but I just sort of sense that it's there. I can sense space going out in front of me, behind me, above me, below me, like an XYZ kind of spatial thing. And it's wonderful. In the old days, it's like when I was worse, I would say I don't know where my living room is. I know that it's there, but I don't feel like it's actually there. And as the years went on and week by week as I improved, I would get these little improvements. I always look forward to a time where I felt something was a bit more concrete. I could feel more substance, more matter around me. And yeah, the pain of mental illness, the anxiety, these are really strong emotions that you can have with this disease, really intense, or depression, anxiety, very, very intense emotions. And I kind of liken it to a simple analogy might be someone in an electric chair, and they're strapped in, they can't get out, but they want to get out. All they want to do is get out, but the pain is there all day long. How do you get out of that? How do you get out of that electric chair? How do you do it? How do you do it? You're strapped in. Will you ever get out of it? Will anyone come in and get me out of this chair and stop this pain? Will anyone do it? So when you're in a store and you're talking to somebody, buying something, or you're talking to anybody anywhere, try to remember that they might be strapped into an electric chair like that. That feeling of real pain and just barely hanging on. And it might not, on a scale, they might be doing okay that day. They might not just be barely hanging on, but there's pain there in certain degrees. I had like over 27, 28 years times 52 weeks of weekly improvements. That's like 1,000, 1,500 improvements. I was, I was throughout the spectrum over 28 years. You meet me any day over the last 28 years, and I was somewhere on that spectrum. So everyone else is on a spectrum too, from mild to severe. Hopefully everyone's great, but a lot of people are suffering, and they're on the spectrum somewhere of the pain they're feeling. And try to remember, they're trying to smile at you, have a normal conversation, and be normal and be like everybody else. But it's difficult for them to do that. It was difficult for me to do that. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to just be the same as everybody else. I didn't feel that way though. The first 20 years of my life, I felt great. And I knew what it was like to just have a normal conversation with somebody and not be freaked out about life in general. But then the next 30, 27, 28 years of my life, I was freaked out in general, a lot. And just try to remember, when you're talking to somebody, they might be going through something and they're smiling at you. That they may seem normal, but there could be an awful lot going on there behind the scenes. It can make you feel very alone, very cut off from people, very disconnected from people. And yeah, so I'm very happy where I am now. I'm thankful for all the help I got. And yeah, so I want to impress upon people, like my sign says behind me, to stay hopeful. You never know what tomorrow may bring. You just don't know. Things can improve. And I want to encourage people to hang in there. For those fighting, please hang in there. It's so worth it. It's to sit here and enjoy life, enjoy existing, having fun. It's wonderful. And you will so thank yourself for hanging in there. And for everybody else who may not understand the depth of mental illness and how difficult it can be, please try to be respectful and kind to anybody you meet, really. It's you never know what people are going through. That's my message for today. Hope I can help some of you out there. See ya.